Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining me for my fourth episode of Interesting Tik Toks. I'm kind of getting an idea of what direction I want to take this. I'm still going to be doing my reactions to these TikTok videos, especially conspiracy ones. But I definitely want to get a little bit more into video essay format, maybe. These are just ideas I'm throwing around. These are the first few episodes. I'm not really expecting much. I just want to get a feel for it and get better at talking to the camera. Wanted to start today off by talking about the Daily Show with Jon Stewart. It's back on air. It was a really good and refreshing start. I haven't watched this type of programming in quite some years, basically since Trump got elected. A lot of the late night shows basically just turned into Trump bashing, essentially. And I couldn't really, get into it as much as I used to, especially when I was in high school, when I would watch Colbert Report and Jon Stewart, and he would basically be giving everyone Bush, Kerry, a little bit during the Obama years. That's kind of when I petered off watching it. I was even happy for Stephen Colbert when he got the late night show, and it was good for about 3 months, and that's basically when I stopped watching it. And then to watch him a few years ago during the late night show dancing around with syringes, like clear propaganda, kind of a bummer. So again, I'm really happy to see Jon Stewart back. Hopefully this will give a little bit of clarity coming up to this next election cycle, because it's pretty polarized right now, and we need someone that can, on one program, give both sides a little bit of crap. And again, I haven't seen that in a long time.
Manly P. Hall was a Canadian-born philosopher, mystic, and author who lived from 1901 to 1990. He became renowned for his extensive knowledge of ancient wisdom and esoteric teachings. At a young age, Hall showed an exceptional intellect and an insatiable curiosity for metaphysical subjects. He moved to Los Angeles and founded the Philosophical Research Society in 1934, a center for spiritual exploration. Hall authored over 150 books and essays on various topics, including mythology, symbolism, and ancient philosophies. His most famous work, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, remains a classic in esoteric literature. He dedicated his life to sharing the wisdom of the ages and shedding light on the hidden aspects of human existence. Manly P. Hall's legacy continues to inspire seekers of profound knowledge and spiritual understanding.
I don't really like this AI-generated voice too much. It reminds me of Billy Carson, but I saw Manly P. Hall and I couldn't pass it up. I have his book right here that they were talking about. It's The Secret Teachings of All Ages. It's probably the best book you can find in that section at Barnes & Noble, where they'll mix it in with the Satanic Bible and a whole bunch of Wiccan, emo stuff. And I'm a little bit harsh about that section just because a lot of it is just cliff noted and diluted versions of something you can get from that book, which is amazing. You can pretty much flip open to any page and just start having your mind blown. It's a great, essentially, encyclopedia. It's not so much of a book that you read through. You can if you want, but what I like is to just go through the index and find parts that are interesting that speak to me. And over the years, I find it's different parts throughout the book. And you saw that I had a bunch of little bookmarks in there. Again, definitely something you should buy. It's about $30 at Amazon, or if you have a Barnes & Noble in the area, it's in that section with all the witchcraft and tarot cards. Unfortunately, I really think they should have books like that, the Kybalion and other ones, in a separate section, more along the philosophical area.
Do you think the Gimlin footage is real?
Patterson Gimlin footage? 100% fake.
Fake?
Yeah, it looks fake.
Yeah.
Hardcore Bigfoot believers, that's their footage. There's so many problems with that. The guy, Bob Hieronymus, says he was Bigfoot. When you see him walk, he's this big old gangly cowboy looking dude. When you see him walk, he walks exactly like that Bigfoot thing.
You think it was him?
100%.
Huh.
Have you ever seen him walking side by side? They show the Bigfoot walking and then Bob walking, and you're like, oh. They even have a receipt from a fucking gorilla suit that they bought. He looked like a Bigfoot. The guy was a fucking, there's dudes, the big old cowboy looking dudes, big old fucking farm country strong dudes.
Yeah.
They look like apish. They're just big old fuckers. And this guy was one of those guys.
It's a guy in a suit?
Yeah, 100%. Although I did get really high once, and I was convinced that it was really Bigfoot, and I was being an asshole all this time. I was like, oh my God, what if that really is Bigfoot? I've just been a dick. Did you ever believe it was real?
When I was 8, yeah.
And when you're 9, you're like, get the fuck out of here. Yeah.
Joe Rogan has always been back and forth in all the paranormal things, especially after he did the show where he questions everything. After doing that, especially on the Bigfoot subject, he got disillusioned with all the people that he was meeting. And again, I like the whole Bigfoot thing because even if you aren't finding anything, you're still out camping with your boys and having fun. What I don't like is when he had Les Stroud on. And Les Stroud, again, as you saw in my video before, I really like his angle to the whole Bigfoot phenomenon. On the very first appearance that he was on, the Joe Rogan Experience, he tells his famous 2 stories, and it's back and forth, and it's really good. And it's even in that Joe was like, you should do a Bigfoot show. Fast forward to like 2016 or 17, he's on again with his son of all people, and Joe's just sitting there bashing him. He's just like, "Oh, you believe there's a Bigfoot?" And he's giving him crap because they didn't find anything. The only thing that really did happen was the apple off the tree, and he just beat him down on that. Going back to the actual video, this is the Patterson Gimlin, and it's the one piece of evidence that all the Bigfoot researchers always point to as like the holy grail, and it is 100% fake. To steal the bit from Joe Rogan himself. Again, yeah, the Bob Hieronymus guy said it himself that this is him that was in it. The receipt from it. I remember seeing this debunking documentary. Honestly, they did something, I think it was either Unsolved Mysteries or the Sighting Show that was back on Sci-Fi. I remember being 10 years old and everyone being into Bigfoot, and I was just the Debbie Downer. Like, it was just Bob Hieronymus in a suit, and the Patterson and Gimlin, they're both charlatans, and they got busted buying the suit, and their whole point was to go out and actually film a Bigfoot. Again, I'll agree with Joe on this one. Kind of a silly video watching all these years later. It's one of those things that I think the younger generations have the power to just see immediately through and just know that that's a dude in a suit.
The giant steps in Peru.
You have got to be kidding me. Probably already know that this isn't a giant staircase. There still seems to be some confusion on it, so let me just drive it into the ground one last time. This is Ollanta Tambo. It is an Incan terrace farm. Milo, it looks like stairs. All right, riddle me this. If this was a staircase built for giants, why is there a human-sized staircase in the middle of it and another human-sized staircase on the side of it? I don't know, maybe they had human pets, a little pet on a guy on a string. That really looks like a giant could live in it. Oh yeah, and this doorway too. It's like 5.5 feet tall. Let's use some context clues. What's that over there? Is that a terrace farm? Of course that's not a terrace farm. That was a staircase for baby giant. You ready for this? This is my favorite part. There is an entire valley right here. Where were they going? Why would you feel the need to build gigantic steps up this hill and into these tiny ass houses? Look at that. There's no stairs down the other side of the mountain. And this is what your giant stairs are made out of. Can you imagine a giant picking this up? Yes, we're gonna make a staircase so I can get over this hill. Giant conspiracy truly makes me believe that the human race is a lost cause.
This is the kind of debunking video I hate. One where you take someone who's clearly, sorry, British guy, but you take the most silliest idea and then you basically go about debunking it in the silliest way possible. Now, there is quite a little bit of evidence, I believe, of the Smithsonian hiding like red-haired giants, especially in the Americas. I'll try to find some more videos on that. But to be clearly dismissive like this guy at a place where nobody's saying that these were made by giants. It's just the way that he can show off his 30 rings on his fingers and to be like, oh, look, I'm traveling. Aren't I amazing? Nope, this is, unfortunately, you'll see a lot of this. You'll get it a lot with a flat earth, too, unfortunately. Again, not a flat earther, but some of the rebuttals in that are just as silly as the flat earth idea in itself.
All the technology and research is the #1 place in the world for technology research is right down there in Antarctica. I believe that as the ice is melting, they're finding remnants of an ancient civilization. We know that Antarctica was not a frozen tundra. Mainstream science says 12 million years to build up all this ice. No, that's not accurate. We know this because of the Perry-Reese map. The Perry-Reese map shows Antarctica what it looked like without ice on it, and that's not even that old. So we know that Antarctica shifted into that spot. How? Because we know that Antarctica is surrounded by tectonic plates. And so that landmass was on a plate that slipped. There was something called a pole shift of the crust of the earth, which shifted it from a more habitable climate into the position it is now. And that's why the animals that are being uncovered from the ice were flash frozen with undigested food in their stomachs. And there's an entire advanced civilization there, including some of the largest pyramids on earth right in Antarctica.
And this is the Billy Carson that I said that AI sounds like. Antarctica has always fascinated me, other than being the wall from which we can't escape from. No, I'm kidding. There is a great story that Mikey Kaufman on an old episode of Duncan Trussell's Family Hour where he talks about being in the kitchen, and there's this couple that he says they have a weird accent, and then he walks by them and they start clicking at each other. And as soon as the husband, I think it was, saw him, he looks at the girl and he's like, stop. So it's just cool little stories like that. And even they said that on his first day there that beware the grays that come out when it gets dark out. And this guy isn't into aliens whatsoever. Again, his name was Mikey Kaufman. He's on an old episode of Duncan Trussell from years ago. But what I like about what Billy Carson is talking about here is more of the planetary factor of why Antarctica might be a place where there is an ancient civilization, because I think it was Charles Hapgood was the big devastationist where the Earth goes through a massive pole shift. And it's not just magnetic poles. The whole Earth spins like as if an orange peel skin was taken off the top and just spun around it. Their contention is that Antarctica used to have more of an equatorial location, and then it would be more of a kind of like how Brazil is now, like rainforest essentially. And I've seen a lot of these videos of the pyramids. To me, they look like mountains, but they're saying that they're not. Linda Moulton Howe had a few guys on that says there's bases on there. You had a few presidents going back there a while ago. I think it's been some years now. Something's going on down there. I personally think it's just either a really huge coal or oil source. Might not be aliens. Probably not aliens.
Well, I actually have a picture on my cell phone of 2 actual ETs.
Okay, do you have these pictures right now?
Yeah.
Can you show them on the camera?
Oh, I'd have to fish them out, but yeah, they're pretty amazing, actually. So this is one, and he very triangular shaped head, almost like a beak-like face. It was at an event we did out in the Arizona desert a couple years ago. There were about 30 witnesses to this. This photograph was taken with a really good Nikon camera. So a person took a picture of it. Now this was under low light conditions, but it's very clear what it is, and it's an extraterrestrial being that's sort of levitating, floating out in the desert just outside our circle. So yeah, we have a lot of unusual material.
Stephen Greer again. A lot of people put a lot of weight in what he says. This is where he kind of loses me, especially these photos. They could be really anything. But if you want a background, this is one of his CES5 gatherings. I think that's what the abbreviation is. But this is where he gets a group of people out in the desert, and almost in seance kind of style, he'll get everyone to meditate. And doing this meditation and concentration, you start to see things in the skies and entities. I have a bit of problem with this, because I'm into ancient esotericism and the old occult. You can kind of compare what he's doing to what's in the Lesser Key of Solomon. It's essentially real ways of summoning quote-unquote demons. Not so much what you would think of in the Bible, but I'll elaborate on more videos. It's a lot all at once. What he's doing is the same reason I don't like messing with Ouija boards, is because anything could be using that as a conduit. Now, he has a big thing about being that these are peaceful beings, nothing ever bad has happened through them. And while I agree that's great, a lot of the times if you're using a Ouija board, it will act like your grandfather, or it will know things that only your grandfather or whoever you're asking it to communicate with will know. And that lures you into this false sense of giving it more and more energy. This kind of reminds me of what's going on with these people. It seems like, I don't know if he's aware of it and of the similarities between what he's doing to call forth these entities. There is a new line of thinking that's kind of going around the scientific community. You can read about it in Diana Pasulka's book, that there is a portion of the brain that some families, namely the Bledsoes, that this part of the brain is more developed than others, and I'll try to remember the name of it next time for you. But it seems that the people that have this tend to have more quote-unquote psychic abilities. They can call forth these entities. You can watch him on, I think it's the sister show to the Skinwalker Ranch show, where he is with him, and you can clearly see that he's making lights appear in the sky. Stephen Greer, again, is one of those guys where you're going to get information on both sides. Some of it will be really good. Other times he's showing you, questionable pictures of interdimensional beings on his cell phone that he summoned in the desert.
All right, bro. On a very serious note, you have someone wearing an upside-down cross making devil symbols at the biggest cultural event in American history.
Yeah.
Everything I said about how you can see demons if you pay attention. Did you look at her and think that's a demon? Maybe you didn't, but after listening to this, please pay attention. She is wearing an upside-down cross. The Matrix has made her famous. Nobody knows why. It's certainly not because of fucking talent.
I think she's wearing Balenciaga too.
And she's wearing Balenciaga, which we know.
Child molesters.
Which are child molesters.
Molestiaga.
And she's making devil symbols. What kind of clue are you looking for if those aren't the clues you need? What do you want?
Tate is absolutely right on this one. This woman is vile and disgusting. And you can see when that one girl realized that they were on the big screen. She's like, oh, Taylor, let's drink. And meanwhile, you got Ice Spice doing her stupid little hand symbols and showing her upside down cross. Again, I don't know if these are real Satanists or they're just stuck in like 10-year-old emo where they read that little Wiccan book in Barnes & Noble and they're like, oh, this is cool. I'm sure some of you have seen the movie Idiocracy. Her music would not be out of place in this. It always reminds me of how the older generations never really like the younger generation's music. Like parents in the 60s hated the Beatles. But with this, it's almost gotten to the point where maybe we're not getting old. Maybe this is just ridiculous. And a good example is I can't really listen to Nirvana anymore, but I realize that that's amazing songwriting. And I'm going to read to you this woman's lyrics just so I know I'm not crazy. Think you the shit, bitch? You not even the fart. I be going hard. I'm breaking they hearts like bitches be quick, but I'm quicker. Bitches be thick, but I'm thicker. She could be rich, but I'm richer. Damn. Damn is right. Again, Tate is right on this one. This woman is absolutely disgusting and vile. And if you have kids, please do not let them listen to this absolute trash.
So I'm filming one night looking for objects. I pan my camera down and the wave starts, this hologram wave. I don't notice it. And then it catches up to the camera and I do notice it. I glance at the moon, but when you're staring at things, you don't know whether it's your eyes or what. And then I notice a second wave coming. And at this point, I'm thinking it's my camera. I look up at the moon again and, I just don't know what to think. I save the clip out. I don't delete it. I almost did. And I look at it for quite some time, weeks maybe, looking at it over and over. And I'm realizing that, this is not the way a digital camera malfunctions. This is an organic line, no pixelation, no shredding of the signal. And it finally dawns on me that the pan of the camera proves it. When I pan down, and I usually don't shoot this way, I usually stay centered, almost always stay centered, trying to increase my odds of catching something unusual. But when I pan down, the wave starts, and I pan in front of the wave, which catches up to the camera, and that is the proof in the pudding.
I've always loved listening to Crow 777. I probably watched that 1 year after it came out. I think he recorded that in 2012, so I've known about him for the last 10 years. And whenever he's on the Higher Side Chats or on the Tinfoil Hat, I always like listening to him. He's really down to earth when he talks about a lot of things, and being into photography as well, I do realize that the lunar wave is quite neat. Artifacts are usually just on the screen. They look really weird. The fact that he pans down and then this catches up to it, it's showing you that whatever's happening is on the moon and it's independent of how the camera is working. So basically the line starts, he pans down and then goes up and it catches back up to it. If it was the camera malfunctioning, you would expect as the camera to move down that this line would move with the camera as it passes. Always interesting. Love these videos. The moon, man, that's one question that I hope I get when I die is what is that thing? I mean, more than likely, it's just a rock that's orbiting our planet. But there's plenty of cool things as I go through these videos that hopefully I'll convince you that there's something neat about it. Thank you for joining me for my 4th episode. You've seen the background change like 4 times behind me, and I'm sorry it's taken a little bit longer to get this out. I'll try to be a little bit faster next time. Again, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you on my 5th volume.